Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby.
The Alliance blog. Alliance? If you put an S in front of Alliance, you have Alliance. That's
We hate it! You already know who it is. It's the radioactive Poppy Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy. Are you ready?
Power. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
I'm building an alliance.
God bless the internet.
Okay, let's party.
It's showtime.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, Jaden, DKM, and J. Cal.
Kevin Owens. We're at 628 South Street here in Philadelphia at the Suplex Vintage Wrestling Store. We are here to talk NWA. We're here to watch the NWA that's at the ECW Arena today. But also, if you'd like to check us out, we are also on social media at the Alliance blog. Check us out. We talk all things NWA wrestling and wrestling and beyond. Join us. Hey, that was me. Hey, that's DKM. Hey, that's Jaden. We're the Alliance guys. And this is a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name's Jay Cal, like I previously mentioned. And these are my pals, DKM and Jaden. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Despite all my rage, I am still just a rat in a cage.
That might have been the worst thing I've ever heard out of your mouth.
That says a lot because you were around me during various times last weekend, and you heard me say some even you got a little upset at some of the things I said. Of course, you laughed. But still.
No, one of the funniest things, but one of the worst things is Jaden knows that I'm an introvert, and I don't really like to talk to people in person, which is very strange that I do a live stream I do about 3 hours a week where I talk into the void. And Jaden was very quick to tell everyone that would listen that I have a podcast, and that that's the number one podcast in all the NWA.
Truth. Where's the lies?
No, so far there's none detected, but the ones that I wasn't really excited to talk to strangers, and you made me do it, and that was kind of funny.
I abandoned you in front of a couple of them too. Got you talking, then walked away. It was great.
Oh my God. And I don't want to say anything mean about anybody, but some of those guys, I don't know that they understood what we were talking about. I don't know that they knew who I was or anything,
Yeah, but you were put over as the number one source of news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance.
And what was great too is the Kevin Owen chants as I walked in. That was pretty funny.
Kevin Nowins, that's your new name.
Yeah, Kevin Nowins. It's funny because like that chant, it led to some interesting interactions later in the night. I'll say that. It does that.
Yes, you had some fun. Anyway, DK, have you lost weight?
A little.
You're looking good.
Real quick, I want to say hi to the friends and family in the chat. I see Noob is here, Luthez is here, Jacob. What's going on, Jacob? Jacob was on TikTok with me, so thanks for checking us out, Jacob. I see Willie Bowen's in the house. Hi, gentlemen. Matt Coward Cardona's wife had a pay-per-view. It was called All In. Damn. What did Chelsea Green do to you, Willie Bowen?
Didn't she just get beat up by Julia?
I don't know. Was that on the NXT that happened tonight? Yesterday? What are we talking about?
I don't know. I saw a clip. Apparently, Chelsea Green, or however they do her name there,
I like the way you do it, by the way.
went out to say something to Roxanne, and then Julia showed up and hit her with a knee or something to that effect.
It's nice to know she isn't making turkeys and stuffing and other gourmet meals anymore.
What?
Julia. DK got it, I could tell.
Julia Child? Is that a Julia Child reference in 2024?
Yes.
Oh, man.
She's British, and that's why DK loves her.
Is this true, DK?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I love anybody that cooks. Look at me.
I mean, I don't blame you for that one. Hey, Jaden.
Hey, Jay.
Did you have a good time on Saturday?
I had a lot of fun. I mean, fortunately, I didn't watch some NWA wrestling, but other than that, I had a lot of fun. Even though I had and honestly, for some of the parts, I had a lot of fun. I loved watching Blunt Force Trauma beat up the Immortals like they owed them reparations.
You can't say these things, dude. That was pretty crazy. Like I was shocked about how aggressive Blunt Force Trauma was in that matchup. I mean, they obviously they're no longer the tag team champions, as we found out just on Tuesday who the new champions are, and they certainly had a chip on their shoulder. The violence that I saw that poor Kratos received from Carnage was devastating. That chop, Jaden, chop, like I thought it popped my ear. Like I thought I went deaf for a minute.
You know, I don't normally like the garbage matches, but that didn't feel like a garbage match. That felt like somebody owed somebody something.
It felt like a mugging. It felt like it did feel like maybe there was some receipts being paid back in that match. It was pretty fun to watch, that's for sure. What about the our friends over at Vintage Suplex Wrestling out there in Philadelphia? What did you think of that place?
I thought it was Suplex Vintage Wrestling.
Did I say it wrong?
We threw a couple.
Yeah, you're right. It was Suplex Vintage Wrestling. My apologies.
Yes, it was a cool store. You got some cool action figures. They're all, yeah, and a Tyrus one too. Those pictures were my favorite, definitely.
The pictures, there was, you could see Dave Scooby's over there and Lou Thez is over there, and some other guy was just checking out those photos. It was pretty cool, man. It was a lot of fun, and the people over there, first of all, salt of the earth, great guys, great dudes. Very much enjoyed hanging out with them. We watched we're watching Bash in Berlin at the show. You can see there's vintage T-shirts in there, like the Razor Ramon. What I failed to get a picture of is above where the TV screen was actually the rooftop of a cage where they had a championship title hanging from it like a ladder match. It was pretty dope, and like they had these collector belts. Obviously, these are the WWE replicas. You could see a Ring of Honor one there too, but they had the Wing Eagle, some lucha masks. It was such a cool place. They had a lot of vintage ECW merchandise and the figures. It was a really cool spot, and the dudes there, Al and Pedro and Woody were so like just kind, and we didn't have a solid plan for what we were going to do once we got to Philadelphia for the pre-show. And I knew we'd end up eating cheesesteaks somewhere, but we got to hang out there for about an hour and a half, and it was a pretty cool vibe.
Yeah, maybe we would have been out there 3 hours. We kind of got lost.
Yeah, that's true. As you can see, I've got my Raven action figure behind me here. ECW Raven, and then I've also got Jaden's new favorite action figure of all time. It's so heavy. Ugh.
Surprised you didn't break your shelf.
Oh yeah, it was pretty tough. That would be the.
Where are you, Jay? I can't see you anymore.
The Funkasaurus. The legs don't move like the other figures. It's
just like real Tyrus.
Yeah, it's just like the real Tyrus. Yeah, so it was cool, man. Had a great time meeting all of you guys that I hadn't met before, like Big Chris Dog. Getting to meet who else did I had not? Oh, Rick Del Santo. I got to meet Rick Del Santo. I have photos of everybody, but I don't know. Like here's me and Rick Del Santo, and here's me with Jaden, and here's me with friend of the show Gary Horn, and here's me with Dave Scooby, and here's me with Big Chris Dog.
That wasn't Dave Scooby.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing. That is Luthez. What would Luthez do? Excuse me. That's Dave Scooby. I clicked on the wrong one. Sorry. That's
you have me so confused.
That's me and Polka Dot Pam.
Hi, Pam.
That's me and Sam Retro.
Where was Aldous? And who's the guy in the back?
That's Mil Mascaras.
Oh.
El Aso Wipo. That's me and Danny Deals, the Deal Man.
Did he give you any deals?
Yeah, I'll talk more about that offline. And then here's a picture
of those threads real.
Yeah, they are 100%. I put my arm around him like, oh god, Danny's living the gimmick.
Yeah, so how long did it take you to get the grease off your arm?
It wasn't bad. He
was like a 3/4 of a bottle of Dawn, I think.
He wasn't greasy at all. He was a good guy. Hey, DK, I want you to look in the back of that photo.
Mm-hmm.
Right between Luthez and the guy in the green shorts. Jaden, you see the person back there in the pink?
Hold on. No.
I see pink.
I see pink, yeah.
Okay. Is that a person?
Yeah, that was the girl that I was talking to at the event.
Oh.
The acrobatic burlesque lady.
She was telling me about how she had an entrance for burlesque that was Undertaker themed, and I'm like, I look forward to seeing it.
Just out of curiosity, had she finished her transitioning?
That's so messed up, man. I think if you saw her Instagram page, you wouldn't say those things.
You haven't sent me her Instagram page because apparently you want to keep her all to yourself.
No, that's nothing.
That's not true. He's going to share her with Michelle.
Jesus, dude.
You should keep it all to yourself.
Well, okay, this party's done. Not that I don't love each and every one of you. I don't, but that's not the reason.
I got to get a viewer somehow.
Poor Jay. Look, poor Jay taking off.
He's too busy blushing right now.
He has run to make sure that she did not hear that.
First of all, anybody knows you just don't put me. You don't put me where I could be hurt.
Well, I've told Jay that several times, but he keeps saying, "No, he's part of the show."
I am. I'm the funny part and the inappropriate part.
I'll give you the inappropriate.
Oh, you know I'm funny. I make you laugh all the time. I'm the only person.
Yeah, sometimes on purpose.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was funny.
It was good. DK says he hates people, and we're supposed to act like we don't already know that.
This is true.
Okay, someone put a poll. Can you do a poll? Do a poll. I want to know what's worse: wrestling fans, wrestling promoters, or wrestlers.
So you're asking a group chat of wrestling fans if they think they're worse than wrestlers or promoters.
It's with. I guess the determining factor is with or without the deodorant.
I want to see how honest they are.
Well, I will say this. It didn't smell nearly as bad as I thought it was going to in the ECW arena.
Yeah. Of course, I think some of the smell of Philadelphia covered it.
That could be that could be true.
So I really want a cheese stick now. I'm sorry, DK.
I was gonna say. So what you're trying to say is that you only wanted to bomb it. You didn't actually bomb it.
I was good, man. I felt very comfortable there. I felt very welcomed and accepted. I didn't have any death threats from William Patrick Corgan. Nobody said anything negative to me. Danny Dills gave me a huge compliment, said that he appreciated the website. He appreciated the YouTube channel, and that was pretty cool to hear that.
Did you know that Jaden was sending me the results at that point?
I
wasn't there, DK. I just don't know what you're talking about. I snuck out.
Did you know that some mask guy that Jaden gave his ticket to was sending me the results at that point?
Yeah. He was cool to me. Everyone was cool to me. Seeing my buddy Gary Horn was cool. Seeing Pollo was there.
Oh,
Yes.
I want to meet Pollo.
Oh yeah, I guess both Jay and I have met Pollo before I snuck out. I'll be right back. I got to use the bathroom, and then I hid behind the ECW mural for a while.
That might have been a safe place for you.
No, there was a lot of needles back there.
Oh Jesus! I didn't see any needles.
I cleaned them all up.
Chris Drummond says, "Wow, lay off my city." Our pal Overmetal says, "Philly smells so bad that the Sixers might have to move to Jersey." What's up, Chigon? Sean Mega says wrestlers are worse. Chris Drummond says wrestling fans, honestly. Jamming Music Man said we're currently experiencing technical difficulties. I think that's when I walked off because of Jaden's inappropriate commentary.
My commentary is always appropriately bad.
Appropriately for the wrong people. Hey, Wrestling God's here. Wrestling God, welcome to the show. I don't think you've been a part of it before. Thanks for checking us out here on YouTube, and glad to have you here.
Wrestling God, can you help fans with deodorant?
Please. Let's see. If you're watching on a phone, double tapping the screen also triggers the like thumbs up. I didn't know that. That's cool. Our pal Jeremy's here. Jeremy, I got to send you a t-shirt, my friend. I have one made out for you. Just need to ship it. Good evening, Alliance fam. Don't forget to like, share, and after the stream, leave a comment. It all helps the Al Gore rhythm. And Lord knows Al Gore needs all the help he can get.
I never knew he could dance.
He can.
Yeah. Just dance.
We all
Right now,
we all know he's a tree.
we have 9 votes in the poll, so thank you guys for voting. We have
And yet
wrestlers.
only 2 thumbs up. Click the
We have
like button.
wrestlers. We have wrestlers at 22%, wrestling promoters at 22%, and we must be very self-deprecating here at the Alliance blog because 56% of the vote is going towards wrestling fans.
I have to say it. I've said it many times. Nobody hates wrestling fans as much as wrestling fans. The only thing they hate more than wrestling fans is wrestling.
Well,
Yeah.
wrestling promoters hate wrestling fans.
On TikTok, my pal Chris asked, was there a moment of silence for Sid during the live event? No, there wasn't. There was no moment of silence for anybody. Maybe there should have been, especially in the ECW arena, but they didn't honor anybody who had passed away recently. Not Sid. I guess Sid is really the only one that's passed away recently, right?
Oh, Alpha?
Who?
Alpha?
Oh yeah, yeah. That would have been another one, a good one for Philadelphia.
Pika was just a couple of months before.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeremy, send me that address when you have a chance. And Wrestling God says, greetings from the hotbed of professional wrestling, Florida, of course. Kevin Sullivan, that's the other big one. How could
Kevin Sullivan, yeah.
so like yeah, and all 3 of those guys certainly had an impact in the wrestling in the Mid-Atlantic, wrestling in New Jersey. Oh, 4 guys, excuse me. Yeah, you're right. Alpha and Sika. Yeah. So yeah. But no, there was no celebration. There was no moment of silence. There was nothing. Billy's big announcement is that he's expecting a 3rd child, I guess.
He is.
And Shane Douglas didn't accept his invitation.
That was so stupid because when when they did the 10 pounds of gold series, when they were in, when they went to Swanson, I don't remember what event that was for, but it might have been Tommy Dreamer's
House of
hardcore.
Hardcore thing.
Yeah,
It was.
yeah. They invited Shane then, and Shane was like, "No, I'm not really interested in rehashing any of that. I'm good with where I'm at with it." And it was kind of like put to rest. So like, leave the poor guy alone. He has
Shane
no
said a
interest.
little more. Shane said a little more than that. Basically, he didn't want anyone to tarnish ECW, and he felt like that if he was there and stuff like that, that there would be shots taken at ECW, and he didn't want anyone to tarnish something that he had worked so hard for. So the bloody little hypocrite.
And well, the thing about it too is, and Jaden, you were there for a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was there any negative commentary on ECW?
No, other than the meanie showing up, which I predicted.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was kind of, I thought Bubba Ray was going to show up at some point. They didn't like really say anything negative except for that, this is what happened. Shane Douglas tossed the belt down and proclaimed ECW as the world championship that he was holding, and it was a nothing moment. It was almost like just filling camera time. I don't feel like that hurt ECW or helped the NWA or anything. It just kind of recanting what happened in the past, right?
Just some member berries.
An update to the poll now. We're 5 minutes into the poll. We have 12 votes. Wrestlers at 17%, wrestling promoters at 33%, and wrestling fans at 50%. So we're still.
We know it's the wrestling fans because they're still not clicking the thumbs up button. They can click the little poll button, but they somehow can't click the thumbs up button. Come on, people.
We're currently at 6 thumbs up, and DKM said that he will not speak anymore tonight until we get to at least as many as we have votes. So
no, the reverse. I'll talk more unless they start voting. Start thumbs up.
Please, thumbs up, please. The entire world, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait. You can talk less, DK?
Wait, we're up to 8 now. 8 thumbs up. I do want to say what's up to Lou and Retro. You guys are in the chat again. I briefly shared our photos. I'll share them again real quick because you're here and I want you to feel appreciated and loved. There's me and Mr. Luthez right there.
Press thumbs up. Oh, sorry, I'm just singing.
Me and Retro. Yeah, man. We and you know what? Like, Jaden, you were standing with us in front of the ECW arena. Didn't it kind of feel like we were like the big shots? Am I imagining that? Or did it feel like we were kind of a big deal?
Well, first of all, I'm always a big deal. I'm kind of a big deal. I'm also big in Japan. I'm also big in the gut area. So, but yeah, because we had mostly matching shirts, and we did a live stream on TikTok. And some big mouth kept telling everybody how big of a star you are and how like you're the number one source of that news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. And boy, I could use some W right now.
This one's DK shirt. Sorry, it's out of the bag.
Like the cat.
I expect a discount then.
And Jaden bought you a shirt too.
Thanks for spoiling that, man. I thought the idea was to let him get it first.
Well, I didn't tell him what shirt it was. For all he knows, it's a dog shirt.
It's not.
I have a dog shirt.
He does.
I have 3.
You have 3 dog shirts?
That's a 3-dog night.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
Bannon.
Do you know that was Cobra Commander's favorite band?
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just Cobra Commander loved 3-Dog Night. He tried to get them back together under penalty of death.
Luthez, who is Carney to the core? Who's Carney? Who's Carney?
Carne asada steak. I want some of that right now.
Ooh. See, Jaden, I would love when you come out here to California, to take you to places, but it's going to be really weird when you're like, no avocado, no guacamole.
Yeah, no bull crap.
Yeah, we want actual food, Jay.
Yeah, no pig shit.
Look at me. Does it look like I don't eat actual food?
No.
You think I'm going to hand you some tofu?
Yes.
You think I'm going to hand you a 3-bean salad?
You're going to hand me beans and rice and
now don't insult beans and rice.
And baby shit.
Yes, no, that I don't want.
Hey, fish tacos.
DK, I got to ask you a question. We were talking about this a couple months ago. And I said that I believed in Joe Hendry. DK, do you believe in Joe Hendry?
Do I believe in Joe Hendry? I believe he's got a good gimmick. I believe he's over with the crowds. I believe that one day he might be the NXT champion. Might be one day. I don't know that he would become anything big on the main WWE roster.
I only saw clips of the matchup between he and Ethan Page, and I was mentioning this on the pre-show on TikTok about that after the match when Ethan Page retained his NXT championship, that Josh Alexander basically tweeted out, "Thanks for nothing, Joe Hendry. We all believed in you and you failed." And I thought that was also pretty awesome because of the fact that Josh Alexander and Ethan Page used to be a tag team in TNA called the North. And I'm kind of hoping that it leads to something between Hendry and Alexander in TNA.
Well, I love Josh Alexander. I really want to see Alexander Hammerstone personally.
Hammerstone's great. I have nothing negative to say.
They've had that match 2 or 3 times now.
Hammerstone and Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to see Hammerstone and Ethan Page.
Oh, yeah, okay. Take my money, please.
Well, Hammerstone needs to go to SmackDown.
Why?
Because he's beaten Jacob Fatu. If you're going to bring in somebody to take care of the Samoan Werewolf, wouldn't you bring in the guy that's beat him?
It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ready-made story.
They'd have to acknowledge the existence of MLW, and I think they're...
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have to. They can just say how these guys have torn it up other places.
There you go. I guess that would work.
There are 2 wrestlers I wish Dr. Zirconia would have gotten in, and I think maybe Alexander might not be too late, but Hammerstone, I mean, but I definitely would have wished they would have fought Jacob Fatu and have made his way into Dog.
Yeah. Jacob Fatu is certainly a dude who I the first time I saw him wrestle was at I had heard about him a lot, and I think he had just started with MLW, and this was I think 2018, and I saw him with the Samoan Dynasty. So I mean, Lance Anoa'i was there. Did I do that right?
Anoa'i. They've been trying to get you to stay away for 20 freaking years now.
Well, you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer because it's just not happening now, is it?
No.
Lance Anoa'i, also Alpha Sika were both there, as well as Rocky Johnson. Rikishi stepped back into the ring for this one. Also, the other there's Sefa Fatu, who is now known as Solo Sikoa. He was there. Jimmy and Jay were not because they were in the WWE at that point. There's another Fatu that was there, and I can't remember his name. But it was pretty cool that all those guys were there, and then seeing the Samoan Werewolf, I think is what he was called, and was just insane. Like what he was doing in the ring at his size. Like he's in great shape now, but he was pretty big wrestling on the independents and moving like a cruiserweight.
Oh, he was over 300 at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still amazing though. For his longevity, the the weight loss is good, but it did make him look even more intimidating when he was that big and can fly that well.
Oh yeah.
He's the only one I believe that I haven't seen in person.
And he's the only one I have seen in person that you haven't seen.
I was gonna say he's the only one. I was gonna say he was the only one I've seen in person, but I've seen Roman in person, probably the Usos. Oh, well, I don't actually remember. I don't remember the other matches.
And I've seen Solo. I've seen both of Haku's kids. I've seen Alpha and Sika. I've seen Lance. I've seen Lloyd. I've seen Samu and Fatu. I've seen Juicy.
Juicy.
I've
seen Juicy.
Even though he's not a true relation. I've seen Rocky Johnson. I've seen Gary Albright. I've seen Alpha Jr. Am I missing any? I'm missing a lot, I'm sure, but
I was going to say probably.
I mean, I'm kind of impressed, to be quite honest with you.
I don't believe I've seen what's her name? One of the Usos' wives.
Naomi?
Yeah, Naomi. I don't think I've seen Naomi. I may have. I don't believe I have. I've seen Snuka's daughter and Snuka's son.
Okay.
I've seen Snuka. I've seen Haku. I've seen Tama. I've seen The Rock. I still feel like I'm missing some.
Yeah, you're probably still missing tons. Let's see. I've seen Roman
And that's
Reigns.
just two of them. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Tons.
I've seen Roman Reigns, The Rock, and the Usos.
I've seen the Usos. I've seen The Rock. I've seen Meng when he was in WCW as the Hardcore Division. I saw, like I said, Sefa Fatu, Solo Sikoa. I saw Lance Anoa'i. Wait, and do one more time for me, Jane.
Anoa'i.
Anoa'i. I should really write that down.
Kind of sounds like Hawaii.
I saw him not only in California for that event that was sponsored by Nox Pro, which is Rikishi's wrestling promotion here in Southern California, but I also saw him in Tijuana teaming up with Brian Keith to take on Rey Horas and Bestia 666. So, and I've seen Reka Tahaka, if that counts for anything, but she's not part of the Samoan dynasty. And no, she was not there. I think Reka Tahaka is injured at the moment. I don't think you'll see her in an NWA ring for a while.
I haven't seen Zilla yet.
Oh yeah, he's still young though. You probably won't. He'll probably get picked up too quickly, before he goes to the WWE.
And Hikuleo, I haven't seen him yet either.
Oh, are we talking New Japan talents as well? Because I saw both. I saw Hikuleo,
I think.
I saw him at New Japan Strong recently, and then I saw both the Gorillas of Destiny at a New Japan event in Long Beach a couple years ago.
We've seen Tyrus. He blocks out the sun.
When you see Tyrus, it's like this. It's just like he floats in, and he just.
Jay, where did you go?
I should do a whole show with Tyrus's face in front of mine.
Only if you say something about inappropriate things about various genders.
No, I'm not going to do that. Not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent. Not at this juncture.
Not going to do it.
Booker T is the gateway. Booker T, what he's doing out in Ohio, Jesus. In Texas. Yeah, I know. Sorry. Look, I called it out myself. I don't need you to say Ohio.
Ohio?
Ohio.
Skibbity, Ohio.
Rocks. Skibbity toilet, maybe.
I'm just hoping my kids are watching right now because they will cringe at that.
Do you mind?
Dodie says, so Jay, you go to Philly, go to that wrestling memorabilia place just to buy the Tyrus figure? So I bought the Tyrus figure. I bought, there's also this Raven figure I got over here. Then I bought this Christian figure that kind of looks I don't know. He looks a little jacked up the more I look at it, but that's all right. Christian. And then I've got this other Raven figure over here.
And he got a really cool shirt, too.
I wore this shirt on the pre-party.
On the what?
On the pre-party.
What's the pre-party?
It's the one that comes on after they put out the NWA episode.
So, well, that does make sense.
It is your official pre or post show, depending on when you're watching.
I will admit, I have yet to see the NWA before I've seen the pre-party.
Well, there you go. And you're not alone, because I never watched Power before the pre-party either, because, you know, why ruin a perfectly good gimmick just because they decided to go to the CW app?
Closest I've come to watching Powers those 5 minutes I was in the arena.
Yeah. Shawn Mega wants to know where my Cahagas figure is, and unfortunately, I don't have one. I don't think there is a Cahagas figure.
I think I've seen somebody make
somewhere.
I thought I seen someone make a custom once. Might have been Cahagas, but
it might have been the Tokyo Monster himself.
You know, he's appeared in the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators ring. He's wrestled in beautiful downtown rustic Glassboro, New Jersey.
Sam Retro points out that we did have the summit at the Wrestling Memorial.
Memorial?
Yeah.
Is wrestling finally dead? Or is that just kayfabe?
Anyways, we had a great time. Great time.
Can you tell I'm so tired?
Hey,
you certainly are ornery tonight, that's for sure.
Jay.
Yeah.
Jay, did you watch Power?
I did watch Power, and I have some things I'd like to talk about Power.
Oh man.
Okay. Well, what would you like to talk about with Power?
Can I just tell you how freaking sick and tired I am of seeing Matt Cardona?
Why is that?
Not only is Matt Cardona, obviously, he's not cleared to wrestle, which might as well be his gimmick in the NWA, because he forfeited the title when he wasn't fit to wrestle. Then he tried to win it back and couldn't. But then it feels like Billy Corgan is watching what Game Changer Wrestling does and says, all right, we're going to bring Matt in and do the exact same thing. When Matt Cardona came to Game Changer Wrestling and he won the Game Changer Championship, he proclaimed himself the savior of Game Changer Wrestling. He was the it guy for GCW, and that they should change the name to, you know, Matt Cardona Wrestling when he was there, and all this, that, and the other thing. And they put the belt on him, and he had a great storyline. He was this former WWE star earning his street cred with the hardcore wrestling promotion. And it was, you know, for all intents and purposes, it was kind of an interesting storyline for Matt Cardona, because it's a huge radical change from, you know, being in the WWE to being in GCW. But then they do the exact same thing in the NWA, and the first thing Cardona does is talk about how it should be the Matt Cardona Wrestling Association. It talks about how he's the actual world champion. Bear in mind, he never even wrestled a match for the NWA, and kept proclaiming how the NWA needed saving, right? And this was coming off of Trevor Murdoch winning the 10 pounds of gold. A feel-good moment at the NWA 73rd anniversary show when Trevor finally beat Nick Aldis for the 10 pounds. It was a feel-good moment for the NWA, and quickly was dashed with this whole Matt Cardona bullshit. And then Cardona gets hurt. He kind of disappears. He fades away. He's back out on the indies again, and he gets hurt again. And now he's the managing director. He's the boss of GCW. He's the head matchmaker, whatever you want to call it. And of course, what do we get at the Return to the Territories? We get Matt Cardona as the Cardona Executive Officer. Jesus Christ. Could we not try to do everything that GCW is doing? Can we have, if you're going to use Matt Cardona, can we use him in a different way? Can we treat him as...
I promise you 100%. Billy Corgan thinks it's all original stuff that Matt Cardona is selling him.
You might be right. You know what? I'm going to say you probably are right. This was such utter crap to me, and it really did affect how I was watching Power. Like it really kind of like you had this perfectly good moment with Matt Cardona, excuse me, with Colby Carino winning a tournament or battle royal, excuse me. Colby Carino wins a battle royal on the pre-show on the YouTube channel that was building up for a Power episode, and that battle royal led to him getting a title match against EC3 right there at Return to the Territories, a matchup that I don't think anyone was really expecting. And it was a pretty.
I want to pause there for a second.
Sure.
Just because otherwise we'll go off on too many tangents as we continue. But basic thought of doing that, having was it Monday they released it?
Yeah.
So having something that they released on Monday that tied to the show for Tuesday. Good move, bad move?
If I'm being honest, I think that's actually a pretty good move. It kind of felt like it gave a, you got to tune into CW to see what's going to happen next. You know, it kind of, I mean, that's how I would use the YouTube channel at this point, considering that they're not running like original content on it. Excuse me for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Well, they're sort of running original content on it, but
He was right. He was right back.
Not full shows.
No, but you know, having that match, I felt like lent some credibility to, like, look, we didn't need the battle royal on Power, although maybe that would have been fun too. But putting that on YouTube, everyone could get on there, and I feel like that would have been a good way to lead to the show. And you know, you can't exactly put this on YouTube at like 6:30 in the morning on Tuesday before it drops on the CW app. But doing it Monday night, I feel like was a good lead way to bringing it in. And I want to say what's up to Fuzz. All right, guys, no more spoilers talks because Fuzz is in the house. No more spoilers, please.
I make no promises.
All
anyway,
right, well,
Don Jardine.
Yes. There we go. So anyway, the next thing is, what do you think of the actual battle royal itself? That started off as a battle royal, became a Royal Rumble, and there didn't seem to be a rhyme or reason as to why.
Now this
is where for those who haven't seen it, when I say started off as a battle royal, I mean that's how it started off. A bunch of guys in the ring in a battle royal, and then suddenly they started adding people Royal Rumble style.
I didn't watch the battle royal. I have to confess. I got in late Monday night. Like we got in late. Like I didn't land till after 11 p.m. So my Tuesday was kind of rush, and I did not get a chance to see the battle royal.
And for those who are just joining, answer our poll question.
On that, I'm gonna go back and look at that poll. I put away the laptop and everything. I forgot that the poll was running.
I'm offended.
Yeah, well, let me see here. Give you the update on the poll in just a second here.
Oh, for Pete's sakes. I can tell you what it says.
Well, because I'm going to end the poll right now.
Really?
Jeez. I'm going to. So, okay, the poll's been running for 27 minutes with 15 votes. We have determined now that 20% of the audience believes that the wrestlers are the worst. 33% says it is the wrestling promoters, and 46% of the voting audience said wrestling fans.
So I was right.
Yeah. So again, going back to Matt Cardona, I just feel like if we're gonna get Cardona on our TV, can we please get him in a way that he's not been used in other wrestling promotions? They probably do it better. They probably do it better than the NWA is currently capable of putting Matt Cardona in that position. If he can't wrestle, I understand. If you want him to be just Billy's voice for right now, I can even understand that. But the whole gimmick, his whole persona is exactly what he's doing in Game Changer Wrestling. And I feel like that just makes the NWA look like a cheap imitation. I mean, am I wrong in that? Jaden, what do you think?
I don't know. I didn't really say it, but based on your thing, I think it is just copying what works somewhere else. And it would have worked in the territory days if it wasn't for you meddling kids. But nowadays with national television, everything is seen anywhere. People can be seen on YouTube who've never even, shouldn't even be seen in public. And I guess that's what it is now. You can't redo stuff. Got to be some kind of original.
For me, since I don't watch Game Changer or follow Game Changer or know what's happening in Game Changer, I don't have that double thing. I'm kind of like I don't know what the name is. Look like John Ceramic.
Yeah, Fuzz.
Yeah. The assumption is Cardona everywhere. But since I don't follow, I have no idea where all he's wrestling, or not wrestling currently, where all he's showing up and doing anything. So, but like I said, I'm pretty sure Cardona's selling it to Billy, and Billy's not clueless to the idea of, oh yeah, by the way, I'm doing this everywhere else. Or maybe he is. Maybe he goes, hey, I do this everywhere else, and it's really
terrible.
it's really bad. People hate it, but you do it anyway. So, what do you think of the interaction between Cardona and Corino at the beginning of Power?
Again, I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of Matt Cardona. I didn't feel like he did a good job being a voice for the NWA. I feel like he's very 80s comically heel. Hey, Knoxville, you could do better than that. And then Knoxville cheers louder and he goes, you stink. Oh, okay. I don't know. I thought it was kind of dumb. I like I said, I'm not a big Matt Cardona fan. I feel like Colby essentially echoed the promo that they showed at the beginning of the event, and I thought it was a good promo produced. I felt like it fell a little flat inside the ring, and I don't blame Colby for that. I just feel like it's kind of a weird way to cut a promo like that, and like the whole thing just was weird. And I didn't like it.
Did you have any difficulty because you don't really see Colby ever being the NWA World Heavyweight Champion?
So it's been a while since we've seen Colby, right? Like the last time I think we saw Colby on television was against Alex Misery when they were back in Tampa.
So I just saw him on Saturday.
He looked good on Saturday.
Yeah.
He looked
Look, were you there for a couple of minutes or were you there for the whole show? Because you're kind of giving mixed signals.
He was outside talking to some fans.
Uh-huh.
I tried to get him to talk to Jay, but Jay hid behind everybody.
It wasn't that I hid behind you. It was that I'm like, he's talking to his, like, obviously a person of interest. I don't want to interrupt that moment for him.
I don't know what you're trying to say there, but I have some ideas. Anyway.
Fuzz says that 74, there were tons of Cardona only marks there around me in the crowd. Yeah, I mean, look, again, have bad taste. I don't know. I feel like the Cardona gimmick, the Cardona persona, it's kind of ran its course. I don't know what more he could do on the independents as is.
Well, that was kind of my thing. He came into the NWA when he was kind of at the height of his indie god status. but I don't think it ever worked the way the NWA thought it was going to work.
No.
And then I don't think he ever recovered from being injured. I think when he went out with his injury, his momentum was kind of killed. And so, you know, it was kind of like with Mustafa Ali and WWE, where he was supposed to get a big push. He got injured, and then all of a sudden, Kofi Mania caught fire when Kofi took his spot.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was ever a plan to put the world title on Mustafa Ali, but you know, that took off to the point where, you know, Kofi got over, and they were kind of Bryan Daniel forced into, you know, into putting the title on him. So, yeah, but I don't think he's the Matt Cardona that he was when he first came in. And I think he's, as you put it, kind of run his course, and he's just another indie guy now who used to work for WWE. By the way, I was there when he won the Intercontinental title.
I'm sorry.
For a day. You know?
Luthez says, I don't remember the main event for 74. Retro says it was Tyrus versus Trevor. That was Tyrus versus Trevor. Trevor successfully retained the title at 74, only to lose it at Hard Times. That was the event that DKM and I attended, and that was rough. And
not one of their better shows.
No.
So the Hard Times, we should have called it Hard to Watch.
You ain't kidding.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on from Matt Cardona, because I feel like we kind of...
Real quick, though, that show that you and DK went to, isn't that where they did that excellent thing where EC3 brought out that chair and started talking to people?
Yeah.
I heard that was a great spot.
The crowd was yelling boring and booing. And
I was chanting boring, and I was booing.
Jay is the crowd.
So was I, but we were not the only ones. I mean, I want to make it clear.
No, that was pretty...
I want to make it clear that we were yelling boring and booing, but so was everybody in our area, in the area across from us, in the area next to us, and behind us.
I think the only people that were cheering for that spot were actually nobody. Nobody cheered for that spot.
Yeah, not a single. I don't even think EC3 cheered for that spot. And it was
traumatizing, apparently.
Yeah, very, very traumatizing. But to get off that and get back to power.
So, okay, so you got Cardona and a Battle Royal. What happened next?
Well, okay, so Carino won. They did a big promo with Cardona and Carino, or Carino was basically talking about how he was going to get out from under his dad's shadow and he was going to win the world title. And I don't know, I stopped listening because the whole thing was just not good to me. And then they went to the next thing. It was going to be for the women's TV title, Max versus Natalia Markova. So Max comes out with both her belts and then drops her women's TV title before the match. So she officially vacated the women's TV title. And if one person says anything about spoilers, so she officially vacated the women's TV title before the match, but they decided to have the match anyway. It just wasn't going to be for the title anymore. She's still the men's TV champion. So she's no longer the unified champion or double champion. And then they are now only the men's champion. And and I love how the simplest little things and the ring announcers know exactly what it means. They are challenging for the women's title at the 76. What? Okay. That's That's cool that you knew all that from a simple drop of the belt.
Well, it's happened. Unfortunately, it's happened so often now that it's kind of become routine. When they drop the belt in the ring, that's the official declaration that they are forfeiting their title and going on to challenge.
How do they know about the 76?
Yeah, but how they know it was going to happen at the 76?
Especially because that was like 84 months ago that was recorded.
That was technically the next event that was going to happen.
Yeah.
For the NWA. And look, let's go back to that, right? What a wasted opportunity where they could have crowned a new TV champion at this event. Max could have done behind the scenes with Father James Mitchell in Forney, Texas, recorded a spot saying that Max would be challenging for the women's world title at the 76th anniversary show. They could have filmed that in Forney because, again, there was no TV title defense in Forney, and they could have put that on television through the last set of tapings, and then they could have had a tournament at Returning the Territories to crown a new TV women's champion, and then give us another quality women's title match at 76. And I'm not saying like they didn't have enough representation. Obviously, the tag titles were on the line. The Burke Invitation will happen, and of course, the main event of Kenzie and Max. But like if Max forfeited the television title at the Return to the Territories, relinquished the title, not forfeited, relinquished the title, then that means we're not going to see a new TV champion crowned until at the very earliest events that are happening in Queens, New York, at the end of September, or maybe at Riot Fest in Chicago. But I don't. That doesn't lend.
In New York.
What's that?
There's 2 shows in New York. Did I see that?
Yeah, they changed. It was originally just the one at the Sacred Heart, and then they announced a second event there as well. This was the first one, but at the Huntington Station. But then there's also one on the 28th, I think, as well. I'll see if I can find the graphic for that.
So, but anyway, getting back to this. So,
real quick before you go any further, I hope that Sacred Heart building allows them to promote the posters with actual wrestlers on them.
Yeah, probably not.
Sorry.
Anyway,
sorry,
but
at least in the building.
But one thing that happened with that, and so they decided to have the match anyway. It's just going to be non-title, and they kind of booked themselves into a corner now because their plans for Markova involving the 76, and there's plans for Max involving the 76. So you can't really have one of them lose the way, get pinned. So what ends up happening is Markova ends up winning by countout after she gets Max knocked out of the ring. And James Mitchell tells them to, don't bother going back in. Don't worry about it. We'll just leave. So, while he's telling them that, then the referee actually does get the 10 count. But shortest 10 count I've seen in a while. I think it only took about 15 seconds.
Tony, that's a 10 count. Only took 15 seconds.
Yes.
And that's the shortest one.
Yes.
And I think Markova's new gimmick should be Markovid.
Markovid, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I would have done probably if I were booking this thing?
Burn it all down and start from scratch.
I would have said, oh yes, that. But like if they just come to me and said, DKM booked this match, here are your constraints, I would say, oh perfect. I would have Max give up the title, and then tell Mark, and then say if Markova won, Markova gets the title, even if it's by countout, because she still technically won. And a lot of times in tournaments and stuff like that, they'll actually give the belt to a winner, even if it's by countout or disqualification or whatever. because there's not a defense going on. And so, I mean, I probably would have done that. And so then Markova would have been your TV champion. And so that would have been my way of doing it. The match wasn't that entertaining to me, but it didn't serve its purpose to me.
It felt like to me that it was intentionally watered down because the premise of the match and the reason why Max didn't get back in the ring is we're saving it for Kenzie at the 76.
Right.
And there was no benefit to winning the match. There's no shame in walking away from the match. You know, ego is a very powerful thing, but you know, under the guidance of Father James Mitchell, I think Max was forced to do the right thing by preserving their own health as opposed to trying to get a meaningless victory over Markova.
For a match 11 months later.
Yeah.
11 months.
So and of course what it did was build up the idea that, you know, maybe Markova could beat Max. Maybe Markova could be the one to beat Max if it ever comes down to it for that TV title. But because Max surrendered it, that's not even an issue at this point.
So, well, that was crazy. So now we have, I guess the next match was the NWA title match between EC3 and Colby.
Yes.
Now, I'll go first here. I thought the match was pretty good for what it was. I mean,
Sure.
no, I never thought Colby would had a chance in hell of winning, and you can see how small he is when he's in the ring with EC3. He's not that big himself, no matter what height they book him at or weight they book him at. Guy's probably 5'10", about 200 pounds. And
yeah,
I think he was more than 200 based off of his appearance at the 76.
And so, well, if he's more than 220, I'd be shocked.
I don't think he's more than 220, but I do think he's more than 200.
So, you know, we'll put it.
He's built like a shit brick house, that's for sure. I mean, he's
well, yeah. I mean, he's built. I'm not saying anything against his look. I'm just saying, you know, my point is he's not that big, and Colby still looks small in comparison.
I will say this with that, just real quick with the interruption. You could tell that Colby has been working on his physique from this event that was in, I think, filmed in, I want to say like July or
June
maybe
1st.
When?
Was it July 1st?
It might late June, early July, something like that.
It was on the 1st. I don't remember which month.
Okay, and then there was a big difference between that Colby Carino and the Colby Carino that I saw at the 2300 arena. And you could tell that he's definitely been spending some more time in the gym. He's still not on EC3's level, but he certainly looked more like a heavyweight. Jaden, can you back me up on this one? Did he look more
busky?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he looked more muscular. He wasn't busky. He was just a lot more muscular.
He was definitely going to GNC and getting his supplements.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked pretty strong, pretty good. God awful hair color, but other than
that. His match though with EC3, I agree with Mr. DKM. I think that was a fun match. It reminded me a lot of the match he had with Honest John out here in California. Again, Honest John is a much smaller competitor too. Similarly to Corino, he's kind of, you know, he spends some time in the gym. Honest John looks good. Colby looked pretty good. I feel like Colby looked better this time seeing him than the last time I saw him. And the match itself was pretty fun. You guys pointed it out to me, and I kept saying, like, there's something missing from these EC3 matches. You know, I blame Sam Adonis for not bringing a better match out of EC3, but then the more that I've seen of EC3 and defending these title matches, he doesn't take it to like the fourth gear. We get to third, and then we start coasting.
I don't think we get out of first.
Sometimes we don't get out second.
Okay, that's fair. Then we'll keep it to first and second. I have not yet to see him go from first to third or first to fourth. It just feels very like cruise control. And I don't have a problem with that on the indies, but when you're on your the flagship NWA Power, I feel like you should be showcasing a little bit more. And even though I feel like Colby was a good challenge for EC3, it was a good matchup, I still feel like when EC3 wasn't selling, it just seems like he was stalling, just waiting,
And the show was June 1st.
Okay.
So just right after we saw them in Texas.
Yeah. Out there in Forney, getting horny and Forney.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we go on to the next bit of the show, we're talking about the NWA schedule as it comes up. We'll talk a little bit more about this later in the show, but of course, it was just announced today that they'll be heading to Chicago for Riot Fest. They'll be there participating for the 3 days. Then they go to Queens at the end of the month and Huntington Station both the Friday and Saturday before the end of the month. Then as October kicks off, they're in Tampa for 2 tapings in Tampa back-to-back, and then to Sarasota, still in Florida, for Samhain, with the last event scheduled for the year, December 14th in Dothan, Alabama.
Hey, Jaden?
Yes.
Where's Huntington Station? Do you know?
New York.
Yeah. Where in New York?
In Huntington, I hope. Since there's a Huntington, New York.
No, you don't know either.
I don't know. Honestly, if New York fell in the ocean, I feel bad for the ocean. So, yeah.
Well, everybody would.
Especially already in the Eastern Atlantic seaboard.
So as I pull in Huntington Station and start zooming out here on, I guess, Microsoft Bing.
Bing.
It is
Long
Island. Near Oyster Bay.
It's on Long Island.
Okay.
Well, fans, the only event worth going to on September 28th is at the Sacred Heart Church, located at 103 4th Street in beautiful Riverton, New Jersey.
I would agree.
And just for those who are keeping score, it is only like a 2-hour, 30-minute drive from Riverton to Huntington. So if you want to go to both of those events,
you can't.
Oh, that's right, you can't, because you can't. Never mind.
Yes.
You go to Queens the next night.
If they don't book Pollo for Queens, I'm rioting.
Dave Scooby wants to know if there is snow in the forecast for Sarasota at Samhain.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Booger. I will say this, and this isn't a spoiler. The dedication that the masked wrestling fan had during Jack Cartwheel versus Alex Misery to go with every gymnastic adjective, noun, pronoun, verb was quite a testament to their dedication to being funny. And I laughed at almost every single one of them.
Which ones didn't you laugh at? The ones you didn't understand?
Probably.
Yeah.
The ones you didn't hear. All right, back to power.
I heard that man had a very loud mouth.
Probably. It wouldn't.
I even heard him when somebody put a clip out on Via Manamanos Lucha Libre.
Oh yeah. He was the guy. He was so loud that he started telling what's that guy's name? I liked him better as Jordan Clearwater. What's his name? Carson Drake. He told Carson Drake that his energy drink had
alanine.
Yeah. And then he looked at me and had a fat joke. Thanks, pal. He said my pronouns were LB and KG. And that's kind of funny. Asshole. Fuck you, Carson Drake.
Back to power.
I liked you better when you were Jordan Clearwater.
By the way, I have a hard stop at 9:00.
All right, well, let's go. All right, we'll get back to it. So
Is that when you take those little blue pills?
The next match was the long. No, I have to go. Help take care of somebody.
Jeez, DK the Hitman.
Don't ask any more questions you don't want the answers to.
don't ask questions unless you actually want the answers and you're willing not to testify. So anyway,
my name's not Devon, so I'm okay.
So the last match was the long rumored World Tag Team title match between Blunt Force Trauma and Knox Murdoch. And Knox and Murdoch had Eric Smalls to counterbalance Aaron Stevens, which is an interesting counterbalance. And so,
can I say something about this real quick?
Well, actually, I was going to ask you your thoughts on it just now. So, Jay, what are your thoughts on this?
So my first thing is, like, again, with the whole taping schedule, and I know we talk about this from all the time about how terrible the taping schedule is, but obviously doing the title change, that was going to be a big thing that impacted the signature live event in Philly, right? How hard would it have been for them just to, put that match as the back end, as the lead to the signature live event, the 76th anniversary show, so that seeing Trevor Murdoch with the tag title, at a Walmart, or seeing, Murdoch's come into the ring with the titles would have been like, I don't know, it would have been self-explained in their own universe. It would have been self-contained. They could have told us that story and just, had that match 1 week earlier. It's not like you couldn't put any of these other, donkey matches from the week before that didn't really matter at the back end of those tapings. I feel like somebody should say, like, okay, here is this character's outline, and this is what we plan to do with him, and this is what we plan to do with her, and this is what we plan to do with them, and we have these matches taped, and this is the next event. Let's put these matches in order that makes sense, because, like, and I'm not going to try to spoil anything right now, but when the next time I see a signature, when I see this event, the 76th anniversary show on television, I feel like all those questions should be answered. But when I go see it at the live event, I don't want to be confused either. I mean, you have two audiences.
Like we were at Crockett Cup.
Yeah, well, Crockett Cup, and here again at the anniversary show, you're not catering to the paying audience, right? Like, I paid to see the 76th anniversary show. I think maybe you paid to see the to see the Crockett Cup.
Well,
right?
Did you paid? You had to fly out. I mean,
Exactly. I flew out. I paid for a hotel. I got a rental car. Ate in fine establishments in both cities. I really enjoyed them both. Really, like the barbecue in Texas and the Philly. I mean, it was pretty good.
Those green beans are still ugly, though.
That's fine.
Did you get ice cream? I know I got ice cream. I don't remember. Did you get ice cream?
No, I don't think I did. I was in my dieting. Like I went all out in Philly. Like I had a blueberry pie French toast.
Oh, I see. So I'm not worth going all out for. Fine, I'll remember that. But anyway,
I told him he better eat.
But back
Jaden threatened me with violence.
Yes.
Oh, well, I'll do that next time then.
You should be careful. He's a hitman. He's going to take somebody out at 10 o'clock.
Take care of somebody.
I bet you, if you're a hitman, I bet you PB Smooth is your as a sniper's best friend.
Let's get back to my thoughts on the tag match.
Yeah.
So we knew there were rumors, there was speculation that a title had changed hands at the territory event. We know that they're going to be crowning a Mid-American champion, and I think we see that match next week. But we had heard that a title had changed hands. So, again, that would have been perfect if it was the week before the 76th, but I digress. The match itself, I felt it was pretty good. What I like about Carnage and Damage, Blunt Force Trauma, like I'm not a big Aaron Stevens guy. I know a lot of the guys in the chat are. They think he does great mic work. They think he does great like character work as the manager. To me, it's not the heel heat that you want. To me, it's more like what they used to call the 6-pack heat or the Sean Waltman heat, right? Like I don't care about Aaron Stevens. I used to enjoy his work when he was teaming with Kratos. I enjoyed him initially as the manager of Blunt Force Trauma. I feel like he's become too redundant and almost a caricature of himself. I was really hoping that Stevens would be separated from Blunt Force Trauma and find somebody else to mentor where we get new material and new stuff. As far as the match goes, I mean, it was a pretty fun match. You have a lot of big dudes in there. It's kind of like a Haas fight. It was not like the 76th anniversary show, but it was very hard hitting. I don't like the fact that the referee allowed Murnox to use a loaded glove. I thought that was like, it would have been a disqualification if you saw Stevens do it, but because Mike Knox is holding the glove, he puts it on, and the referee doesn't do anything about it. It just, to me, that kind of, again, takes me out of the element. He's allowing this to happen. He's basically allowing them to cheat. So it kind of cheapens the victory. I'm not a huge fan of the whole interaction between Stevens and Smalls. Again, is that going to lead to a matchup at some point? I kind of hope not. But it seems like let's focus more on the ring, I think, and that I would have been happier with the product if that was a cost.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Small's gimmick of punching guys in the balls is old after the first time. The first time you kind of go, okay, but then after that, it's who cares? You enjoyed the match a little more than I did. I didn't have anything against it per se. But my comment to you and Jaden when I was watching it was, it was every match that those teams have had before. It's just that this time Murnox won.
Yeah.
It wasn't spectacular. It wasn't.
Wait, the Spectaculars were there?
No. Thank gosh. And it's just, I don't know. It was an okay match, but if the titles hadn't changed hands, I probably would have rated it lower than I ended up rating it in my own mind. You know what I mean? And so that was Power. So, we've talked a little bit. Now we're hoping, we're praying that after these 5 episodes or 4 or 5 episodes, they seem to do 5 a taping, that we'll get to 76. So
that puts us in the middle of October, right?
Probably. But so this is where we talk about spoilers. And like I said, some people kind of take pride in that the NWA those results don't get out there. And I always say, I go, you know what? That's sad that the results don't get out there, because that means there's nobody really talking about it. Because trust me, the average person that's going to be on a message board or something like that, they're not some great NWA fan that, they don't like to do it, and so we're going to keep a secret for them. They just don't talk about it. And so this brings up something that I want to talk about. I was told by a person there that the place was jam-packed. It was said to be a sellout. Sellout suggested around 1,300 because
I don't believe there was that many in there based on the 5 seconds that I was in the building. But it was definitely packed, though. I have to say it was very well packed.
I feel like it's going to look really good on TV.
Yeah. Now, a number I've heard from another source was around 950. And I don't know if that sounds closer or not to you.
I would probably say that's probably more accurate. What would you say, Jay?
Can I show this clip real quick?
Sure.
I thought when I looked at it in the video, I thought it would look better to show more of a crowd, and I guess I was too zoomed in on the match. But it was a fairly decent sized crowd.
I think they were behind you, but
they were in front too. The ring entrance, there was a lot of people there, and there was a lot of people on the sides too. It was pretty full.
So I mean, 915, 1300, whatever it was. Here's the thing: they sold a lot of tickets, and they have a right to be proud. And they sold a lot of tickets in Forney, and they have a right to be proud. Mm-hmm. And it looks like they sold a lot of tickets in back to the territory. I don't know what you call us out. There were some empty places, but I don't know what fire code says. Says as far as how many people you can have. But the place was pretty packed. It was pretty full, and so we're seeing people are willing to go to these events, even without knowing anything. And so then the question becomes, why are they selling out, do you think? And I'm going to have to ask this question, listen to your guys' answer a little bit later, because I got to take care of a couple of things here, apparently, with the dog staring at me. And, but why are these things selling out without really knowing anything? And are people just going for the fun of wrestling, or are people going because they're nostalgic for the NWA letters? Because I don't know that Billy Corgan wrestling promotion would have sold 600 tickets in Forney. And so, and when I get back, we can talk a little bit about Texas style wrestling. And I'm really interested to hear what Jaden has to think. So why are these events selling out? What is the cause? Because most of them don't know what the blank's going on, because nobody knows what the blank is going on.
As you said, as Jaden drops out, so I'll just talk for a minute. So when we look at these events, and I mean, look, there were 8 people at that event who were wearing the Alliance Blog 76th anniversary Wrestling Summit shirts. We had 8 of us there representing this podcast, and we made some new friends while we were there, and that was really cool. But there was 8 of us representing the Alliance. And for that crowd, I mean, obviously there was a lot more than 8 people there. There was a lot more than 80 people there. There's a lot more than 800 people there. And I feel like this was these matches, these pay-per-views, they're selling, number one, on the nostalgia. There's a lot of people there, there to see the NWA because it's the NWA. There are people there that, they just want to see wrestling. I mean, it was the ECW arena after all. But I don't know that these are all people who are watching the CW. I mean, when DK and I were watching the show in Forney, Texas, the Crockett Cup, the guy sitting next to us didn't even know much about the NWA. He just saw that there was wrestling in town. So I feel like it's not necessarily the brand that's selling these events out. It's more of the novelty of seeing an NWA show. Jaden, what do you think?
I think it's because somebody's my idol, and they're out there putting boots to the ground and putting the advertisement out there, I guess, to make sure people know about it. And that's why I think the people are out there, because it's known. You have the best card in the world. If nobody knows about it, nobody's coming.
Yeah.
So if somebody is out there getting that word out, but also I think there were a lot of people there that were there to see 1 or 2 people, like they were friends of theirs.
Well, I mean, like, so while we were in line, we met a fan who was bringing her boys to see a wrestler that she knew, and we saw the 2 guys wearing the Wrecking Ball Legursky shirts, and we saw a couple of people there.
A lot of the slime balls.
Oh, there was a whole contingent for the slime balls. Like 4 guys. There was the James E. Cornette fan that was wearing the sash and the ribbon, or what do the Cornette fans wear?
He had to wear the sash and the beret.
Beret.
Yes.
So I mean, there was some, there were some fans there looking for specific talents. friend of the show, Polka Dot Pam, was there. And I asked her, I said, I thought you were kind of boycotting the NWA because of Adonis. And she says, well, I'm hoping to see something special with Tom tonight. And so she was there because she was hoping to see EC3 lose the belt. So, I don't know. Hey, look, I feel like there's a mix. I feel like people are coming to these events because they're Smashing Pumpkin fans and Billy Corgan's there. I feel like there's people that are coming to these events because it's the novelty of saying, hey, I went to an NWA show. There's morons like me who fly all the way out there to watch these shows. There's people who locally just want to see wrestling. I think there was, at least in Philadelphia, there was the draw of being at the ECW arena.
I think Suplex Vintage Wrestling helped too, and that one guy who gave out 150 flyers at the convention, I think he helped too. All that promotion he did on that, all that promotion he did on that death chat. What was it? Live chat.
It was the Dragon Gate USA Pro Board that the first post on there was, this champ board is dead. That was so sad. He passed out 150 flyers. 150 flyers in 6 hours? What? Jaden, in 6 hours, how many posters could you get hung up if you weren't hanging out at a wrestling convention with your pals? Honestly, a lot. How many posters could you get up in 6 hours? A whole day?
Less in Riverton, though, because there's not a lot of actual places to put them, because there's a lot of buildings, but not a lot of buildings that we know what the hell they are. Serious. I mean, Riverton's a beautiful old town. It kind of reminds me like a little bit of Pittman. It's got that old town they bring the sidewalk in at night type feel. That is excellent ice cream place that I went to. That's absolutely delicious cookie dough ice cream, and the vanilla part of the cookie dough ice cream actually had vanilla beans.
Yeah,
and I had pizza there, but there wasn't. I went to the best pizza place in town. I found out it's the only pizza place in town.
Oh, really?
Everybody was talking about how it's the best pizza place in town and then I went, and it is the only pizza place in town. And there'll be make sure you stop and get pizza if you're coming to the event. But the town doesn't have a lot.
So what you're saying is,
and I still probably put out more than 150 posters.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Zacconi ain't gonna do it, that lazy bastard.
So
I've heard stories.
By the way, I just went to the DGUSA Wrestling.proboards.com, and there is a NWA section where the unofficial artist posted the results for the event yesterday at 6:30 in the morning. The sense of urgency. Apologize for the delay, folks. So here's the scores. Oh, he actually even ranked the matches. All right. Well, anyway.
Yeah, that got him a lot of publicity.
Yeah. And also, too, they were at that Walmart, and I didn't realize how close the Walmart was to the ECW arena. It's pretty close.
Yes.
What's really funny is my hotel was probably about less than 10 minutes away from the 2300 arena, but I drove all the way to Glassboro to pick up Jaden and took him home. So it's it wasn't a short drive.
Actually, I've made that drive in 7. I've actually legitimately made that drive in 11 minutes. Well, I don't have a license.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Stopping at the toll takes at least a minute or two if there's traffic.
Hey, if you know how to go the right way, the tolls, you can do it around it.
All right.
You just got to go fast. They're slow enough for Easy Pass.
Okay, I didn't know that. But yeah, so Jaden, I mean, you're saying it's boots to the ground. You're saying it's people out there promoting the word.
Yeah.
I think it's a mixture of the nostalgia, the fact that Billy Corgan's going to be there, the fact that it's just the ECW arena. I think the fact that Suplex Vintage did their part by having a watch party and talking about it. We post about it here, and the Alliance blog. We're responsible for 8 people there. So I mean, well, I don't want to say we're responsible. Nobody came just because of us, but We represented well.
We
So
came because of us.
DK, what did you think of the why do you think they had such a good crowd there? Do you have a guess or an idea?
Well, I mean, in my thinking, it's probably, I don't know what the exact breakdown, but it would be 3 basic reasons, and you guys probably covered them while I was gone. But obviously, there are some NWA fans that were willing to travel and be there.
At least 8 of them. At least 8 of them.
Yeah. And there were probably some people there just nostalgically.
Yeah.
And then there were probably people that just wanted to see wrestling because there was wrestling at the venue.
Sounds familiar.
And is that what you said?
Yeah, exactly what I said.
Well, then, yeah, I mean, that was my basic thought. But, you know, they do see, and that was basically because of some conversations that we had while in Forney. It's like, yeah, there are people like, oh, we don't watch Power and we don't keep up, but hey, you know.
No joke, and Luthez just called it out. There was a blind man at the event who flew out to see there to not watch wrestling. He was there to listen.
He was trying to use Braille with Markova, though.
Well, so are you. I heard about that story in the back.
Nah. I wasn't never into Stifler's mother.
If
So
there
you
was
point.
anyone if there's anyone on the roster who I think Jaden would like, I would say maybe Kylie Page. I think that's Jaden's speed right there.
She was cute. She was cuter than I thought. At least she doesn't smoke. So dirty.
You would have liked Missa Kate, I think, too.
Misa like her a lot.
You should see if Dr. Z could get Valerie Verman versus Misa Kate. That there you go.
Well, I'm not even sure who the commissioner and owner and CEO of World Wrestling Grand Prix is, but Dr. Zirconium does bring in the top professional wrestlers. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but Valerie Verman, about 2 or 3 months too late, just suddenly realized that there was an event at the Sacred Heart Church located at 103 4th Street in beautiful Riverton, New Jersey, and demanded to be put on it. Even though she was told about it 2 months ago or 3 months ago.
That sounds like our Valerie right there.
The news just got to her, and she demanded to be on it. So the World Wrestling Grand Prix Women's Championship will be on the line at the Sacred Heart Church on Saturday night, September 28th, at the Sacred Heart Church in beautiful Riverton, New Jersey, at 103 4th Street.
Does she
Pedestrian friendly?
No, we're no longer pedestrian friendly. I walked down that street and it wasn't very pedestrian friendly. B, with things going on in New Jersey, no, I don't think New Jersey is pedestrian friendly anymore.
James H. Jackson says the ticket price too. I feel they charge what the big two charge. I feel there would be less there. I end up at so many local shows because the price is right for a night out. That's true. It's not the great thing about indie wrestling, and I do include the NWA at the indie level at this point, is the ticket prices aren't going to kill you. Try to get front row seats to a Monday Night Raw for under $500. Good luck.
Well, how much were those tickets? I don't know how much they were in.
I want to say it was $60 a piece after tax, something like that. So I mean, it wasn't a cheap ticket, but that was front row too.
Yeah. Was that Ticketmaster?
No, it's through the 2300 Arena.
Same about thing.
Yeah, not much different. I wonder how much the NWA got after that.
$1.25.
Probably. So, I hear there are stories about a new territory, maybe, for the NWA.
Yes, and apparently they do it Dougie style, or was it Texas style?
It's Texas style.
Do a Dougie style.
What?
I was trying to do it Gundam style, but
sorry, Jaden's been smoking again. Anyway,
I do not partake in any light flammable substances.
Yeah, he eats them. Anyway.
I do not eat any flammable. Well, that's not true. Some substances I eat are very flammable. But,
Yeah, because that's not what I've heard.
but none of them that grow. I can't say that either. Just none of them that you think. No stanky green for the J-Man.
Sure. Anyway, I believe you.
I believe Jaden's not high.
So apparently at the end of their own live stream, Texas Style Wrestling, James Beard? He was talking to Forney's own Bam Bam Malone, who actually won a match at Crockett Cup. And he mentioned something about how their, I guess, October 12th show is supposed to be their first show under the NWA banner. So I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, since it's been said publicly, but not by the NWA, who seem to think that anything that they don't say or have happened or, talk about or acknowledge hasn't really happened.
I don't hear you. I'm not seeing you.
Yeah. So what do you think about just, adding another territory? I don't know a whole lot about Texas Style, even though it's not too horribly far from me.
So I guess right off the bat, if it's okay, I'll jump into this. Billy is in the business of promoting wrestling with the people that he trusts. And I want to make sure I'm using that word trusts because, he at one point trusted Dave Marquez. At one point, he trusted Dave Lagana. At one point, he trusted Nick Aldis. And, those trusting relationships ran their course. Right now, he has a trusting relationship with, EC3, his former EC3, the promoter of Exodus Pro.
His former best friend.
His former best friend. Thank you. Good save. He has a relationship with the Page sisters who are running, Crossfire Pro Wrestling. I can't forget about Papa Joe Kazana, who's had a very good relationship with the NWA over the last few years.
I thought it was Colonel Joe Kazana.
Sure.
In Forney, I learned something when I went out to get a drink. I learned that he actually gets a discount on NWA merchandise for being a member.
Joe Kazana gets a discount?
That's what he was telling the people at the merchandise booth, was that he got a discount for being a member.
That's the most carny shit I've ever heard. That's awesome.
And I was sitting there trying to figure out, I so badly wanted to interrupt and say, are you telling a joke or is this serious or whatever? And you could tell the people in the booth had no idea who the hell he was.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Also NWA Chicago. Yes, because of the relationship that he has with Brian Idol. And, I've heard
Joe Galley called NWA Chicago Billy Corgan's promotion.
Billy Corgan has called it his promotion, and that makes me scratch my head every time because, boss, hey, NWA power is yours, okay? The whole umbrella is yours, saying that you have a promotion. No, you don't. You don't have a territory. You have all the territories. If you want to run an event in Nashville, you don't got to ask Joe Kazana to do it. If you want to run in Chicago, you don't have to ask yourself to do it. If you want to run in Cleveland, you don't have to ask EC3. This isn't the way it used to be. You are the NWA. If you died tomorrow, the NWA essentially dies with you.
I think he's just trying to Tony Khan it with Tony Khan owning Ring of Honor and AEW.
Maybe. But long story short, he's in these relationships with people that he trusts.
He shouldn't trust Billy Corgan.
We know for sure one person that his name has been around for the entirety of the NWA Billy Corgan era, and that's Tim Storm. And I don't know Tim's direct connection with Texas Style Wrestling. I don't know if there's any correlation between the two, but we know that James Beard and Tim Storm have a very positive relationship.
James Beard also has a strong relationship with
Jack Stain,
Bradshaw.
Okay, yeah, of course, yeah absolutely. I guess the point
they are like close. I mean, true friends.
The point I'm trying to make though is that Billy doesn't do business with people he doesn't trust, and if Texas style wrestling is being brokered, championed, heralded by Tim Storm and James Beard, then I think I think that Billy would listen. And look, it makes a lot of sense to have that partnership. For a very long time, Texas has been the home of the NWA. Like, the Bruce Tharpe era, there was like 6 different Texas-based NWA promotions. A lot of the talent has ties to Texas, and even Jazz and Rodney are both living in Texas. Tim Storm's living in Texas.
I didn't know there was a Berlin, Texas.
Huh?
Baron Von Storm.
I didn't know it was a Berlin, Texas.
There's a Burleson, Texas. I know.
There's a Burleson, Texas. And how come, by the way, he is in Fritz Von Storm? Wouldn't that make way more sense?
Because they're smart enough not to do a Von Erich gimmick in Texas.
He's not a Von Erich. Fritz Von Storm.
Yeah.
They're doing a German gimmick.
Yeah, so better take
Waldo Von Storm.
Which, by the way, I understand there's a documentary on the actual Baron Von Raschke on Prime.
Huh.
Yeah, it was done in 1946 when he was only 87.
Maybe.
That made me laugh way harder than it should have. That's for sure.
They showed him recently in the WWE. He didn't age a day. He always looked like he's 105.
I've seen a picture of him in college.
He looks the same, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Does not look any different.
Except for he actually had a build.
He did find the Fountain of Youth in the Last Crusade.
Fountain of Youth. He might find immortality. He must have got that from Xanatos. But he definitely found the Fountain of Youth.
So yeah, I mean, DK, let me ask you your opinion because you posed the question. Like, what does it mean to you as a Texan seeing the NWA fly its flag back in the Lone Star State again?
Me and Kenny have come to Fort Worth. Seriously. I find it interesting. I find all his territorial decisions interesting in that, the only one that you sit there and go, the connection just has to be a wrestling relationship is JCP. And now Texas style is kind of like the second one that's in that group. You're not really, okay, they're not current champions. They're not current thing. For the record, I have no interest in the Page Sisters promotion. And so that's what has me interested. It's like, it'll be interesting to see what they do. And to see how tight that connection actually is.
Well, we know that they're crowning a Mid-American champion soon. It would be interesting to see if that Mid-American champion is going to travel to all these different territories. I mean, it's one thing to go from, Crossville and I think it's Sellerville, to Knoxville or Nashville or Decatur or wherever in Tennessee. It's one thing to travel in the state, but like whoever wins that Mid-American Championship, are they going to be able to take that title to Exodus Pro? Are they going to take it to NWA Chicago? Are we going to see them in Texas? Or are we going to see them in Florida? There's so many different places
That's kind of what we were originally told. And so it'll be interesting to see if they do that.
Well, when it was just the Tennessee promotions in Chicago or in Cleveland, that seems a lot more realistic for a talent in that area to travel. Look, it's not a 3-day drive from Ohio to from Cleveland to Nashville, but driving all the way down to Texas, that's a commute, right? I mean, that's a long drive.
You're gonna take a lot to plunk himself down there.
Not joking there. Actually, they primarily run Frisco now. I think they're kind of out of Addison at the moment. And
anyone run in Amarillo?
They might do Irving on special occasions. What'd you say?
Does anyone run Amarillo?
Amarillo, I think, still run by the old Top of Texas, Jack Logan. And so,
like that adjusts his names, like we know exactly who that is.
In Spanish, that's amarillo, yellow.
Jack Logan was the guy that ran Top of Texas back when it was part of the NWA.
Yeah, I remember who Jack Logan was.
And so his son won the national championship for a short term. He was one of the Greg Anthony hotshots.
Greg Anthony. Don't remind me of that.
Is it near me? Sort of. It's about an hour and a half away. It's a little bit further than I like to travel in general. I mean, I'll probably follow it on the internet, and I might go to a show every now and again, maybe a couple times a year, but it's not something that I'm going to rush out to every show and see.
Some of those wrestlers were part of the NWA Crockett Cup. Based on what you saw, is that a promotion that has your interest?
I mean, they're using they're using local talent that I've heard of and that I know. So David Fuller used some of them. In fact, Bam Bam Malone was actually part of the last tag team champions that IHWE had. And so, I mean, I am familiar with them. And I would think they would put on entertaining shows. But again, I don't know that. I don't like driving at night, far distances. And I just don't know that I'd want to leave a show at 9 or 10 o'clock and then drive an hour and a half back. And I certainly don't feel like getting a hotel every time I go out there, which I actually did when Jay and I went. So, yeah, I'll keep up with them, but, you know, I'm not going to be doing live reports.
It's a shame there's no really good promotion around Fort Worth that maybe can do a joint show with them.
And you never know, but yeah, right now there's not. If only there were buildings in Fort Worth that could host wrestling regularly.
That's a problem that Dr. Zirconium has in Jersey. But maybe
there is one promotion that runs out of an event center, and a really nice event center. And I don't know anything really about it, but that promoter either spends a lot of money or has an in with that event center, because it's one of those type places that host, you know, weddings and other, you know, top events, and they're on the pricey side. So, I mean, cheaper than some that are more, you know, more country settings, but they're not a $500 building. Let's just say that they're about a $1,500 building.
Wow!
And you can, you know, I could run the theater that HWE ran a couple times. There's other promotions I've tried to run, and for that, and
for $1,500, I mean, I've never ran an indie show, but I know that that's a lot of money. And I look at everything like a business, right? Because I am a business owner, and there is cost of doing business and return on investment. And yeah, you're going to spend some money to make some money. That's the idea. But if you're already in the whole $1,500 before anybody even walks in the building, that's hard to.
Before paying talent.
Yeah, that's a hard way to make an ROI. I mean, then you put talent that people are going to want to pay to see, and now you're probably closer to $3,000 in debt, you know, without even running the show. And then, you know, so what you got to sell tickets at what, like $30 a pop just to recoup, just to break even.
To fill a building like that, he probably has to get his talent budget probably closer to $3,000 by itself.
There you go. Yeah,
you know, the thing is, if you run a really good show and people are really interested, you're going to draw about 300 people the first time. And then it's going to drop a little bit after that. And so, yeah, you would have to. And part of the problem is, one, there's not many buildings that want to do wrestling that can. And then the second thing is, just like everything else, prices have gone up. I mean, I hear people talk about, during the day, well, you should be able to get a building for about $500. No. You might be able to get a building for $500, but you'd probably be running at 2 p.m.
Yeah, and everyone knows that's when the best wrestling happens.
And the reason for that is, like, a lot of those places close around 8 o'clock, and you got to pay extra if you're there past, what they're normally open.
Sure.
And so and then if you're in places that do, I mean, I've checked out buildings, and finding anything under 1,000 is almost impossible.
Your disadvantage is you live close enough to a major city that their prices are probably going to be very higher.
I live basically in a major city.
Yeah.
Technically, I'm in a suburb, but city boundaries are kissing each other. I mean, I live in Fort Worth. When people go, "Where you live?" I go, "South Fort Worth," because that's where I live. And so, even though technically I'm in a suburb, but you don't know when you're leaving my town and entering Fort Worth.
Well, I mean,
Jake's
look,
been here. Jake's actually been to my house.
I've been to your house. I've been inside your house. The thing about it is, and it's like I say the same thing, right? I don't live in Riverside. I don't live in Los Angeles. Far from it. I'm in that community. I'm in that media market, but I don't live in Los Angeles. In fact, if I had cable, I would get the Padre games on my cable instead of the Dodger games. That's where I'm geographically located, but it's still considered Los Angeles County. So I don't think you telling people like I live in Fort Worth, you're good. I don't think anyone's going to question you on that one. If you lived in Amarillo and told people you lived in Fort Worth, then we'd all look at you funny because I think it's like a 4.5-hour drive, 5-hour drive. But
and part of the problem too is that there are a couple of promotions that run in counties near the Metroplex, but a little bit further away. But honestly, they have a hard time drawing, and they have a hard time. They book what I call that region's talent. You don't see most of them on a Fort Worth card, and you don't see most people in Fort Worth on one of their cards.
Yeah,
and in the Metroplex, wrestling's hard. A lot. I didn't even know this until I got told, but Metroplex wrestling's run for a long time, and they run weekly or bi-weekly. They used to run bi-weekly. I think they run weekly now, but they were actually sold after the pandemic.
Oh,
it's totally new ownership, and I've been told they draw. I've never been there, but I've been told they draw about 150.
Okay.
For a weekly billing, that's actually pretty good because it's hard. Those are your fans right there. Then if you're lucky, you get maybe a few extra here and there, but that's your fan base.
Yeah, and so, and they've been in the same spot forever, and it's like a lease spot in a strip center.
I thought I was going to say a strip club.
No, they'd have more fans if it was a strip club. But yeah, I mean, they're located in a strip center, and again, I think they've probably been there long enough and good enough. They still get a good deal. I've even looked at some strip center space, and it's like, they're expecting restaurants and whatever, and they're looking for a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it is not an easy thing, but
Try the Spirit Halloween places.
I've actually looked at pop-up spots, and some of them are not absolutely ridiculous. They're just ridiculous.
I would think that would be a win-win for, because like, look, I walk into my mall, my local mall, and it's become somewhat of a ghost town between stores closing and in general just having more difficult getting people to come to the mall these days. I told this business idea to my wife that if I had money, I would have a seasonal store inside the mall that every 2 to 3 months it changes to reflect the seasons, and do more pop-up events, like working with, like we went to I know you guys are both adults with, not.
How dare you?
But have you ever heard of the show called Bluey? Either one of you?
I know it exists.
Okay. So it's a Disney show. It's really popular with the kids, and it's meant for a much younger audience. But they did a pop-up in Beverly Hills, and sure enough, we went down there to support it and enjoy it. And it wasn't cheap. It was a whole thing. They had people dressed up in the costumes, and had a replica of the house that's from the TV show. It was really cute. And I'm thinking, like, every mall should do stuff like that. Hey, it's Thanksgiving time, or if it's Halloween time, let's do instead of a spooky store, let's do a Snoopy store, like it's Halloween Charlie Brown, and do a theme like that. Or there's lots of IP out there that I think would make sense. Anyways, long story short, getting back to the topic at hand, putting a wrestling event inside of a store that is no longer operating seems like it's a win-win, because they get a quick payday from you paying to use that space, as opposed to it sitting vacant, not collecting any rent. And then, your attraction would bring people to that mall that you would think, like, that's a good idea. Like, the malls need people to walk in there.
Unfortunately, that's not an accurate statement. They'll probably lose money by putting them in there.
Okay.
A lot of those people don't realize that they're claiming a building at $1,000, and you're paying that rent $1,000 a month, and they tried to raise your rent $1,500.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't pay that. That's too much. And they think, well, then you're leaving like, well, they're losing money. How stupid are they? They'll claim that $1,500 on the taxes, not the $1,000 as lost income. Yeah. So as long as they're not claiming more that they're bringing in, or that they're paying out, I should say.
Yeah.
And they're actually costing money, saving money on that, because they also don't have to pay as much insurance for that building. They also don't have to pay lighting or water or anything else to be on that building.
Sure.
So, that's saving the money in the long run. Plus, they're claiming it on their taxes.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
I have to interrupt. Because I do have a hard break. So hard stop. So I do want to tell everybody that there are things going on here that we hopefully can talk about in about 2 months. And we will see what's going on in the world at that time, but there's still some things that have to be resolved. And I will see all of you next week.
Bye, DK.
Have fun with your assassination. Have fun storming the castle. I love that.
Say it one more time. I cut you off.
I'm taking care of someone.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Getting taken care of business. TCOB. Anyways, that's actually probably a good place to stop the show for tonight, because it is we're coming up against the hour. We don't like to go much more than that. So, Jaden, I know the event's coming up in Riverton, New Jersey, September the 28th. We've got Breaker Morant. He'll be defending the Dog Heavyweight Championship. You got Goldie defending the World Wrestling Grand Prix Championship. You got Tank Tolan's going to be in the house. Did a great interview with Tank Tolan. You should check it out. It's on the site. And then just late breaking news earlier today, Valerie Verman will be in the house defending that Women's World Wrestling Grand Prix Championship. What else do you want to tell us about September 28th, Saturday night, Sacred Heart?
Real quick, actually, we're starting the Breaker Morant retirement tour. He is going to be retiring this spring.
Oh, so
it's, if you want to see Breaker Morant, you don't have many chances left. I do know, if you're interested, he's going to be defending the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Heavyweight Championship this Saturday night at the VFW in Somerdale, New Jersey at MAWA, Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Alliance. He will be defending against Pat Dynamite. If he's still champion, he'll defend it on Saturday night, September 28th at the Sacred Heart Church in beautiful Riverton, New Jersey. It's actually very historic, too. And he will defend against former champion Busky, Eric Martin. Then, if he is still champion, you'll see him defend that championship on October 12th in Woodbury? No, not Woodbury. Williamstown? One of those damn W towns. But it's at the H2O Arena. It's for the Kevin Hart. Yes, you do, Rick. Kevin Hogan memorial event. Kevin Hogan was a big wrestling fan who came to all the wrestling events in the area and died tragically in a car accident. So it'll be a memorial event to celebrate his life. And you'll see Breaker Morant defending the dog championship against rabid honey badger Ryan Mooney.
Ryan Mooney.
Yes. Really, really talented. Came from the Ring of Honor school. And has fought for the dog championship before. He's getting another match. He wanted another shot at the championship, so he got a match against Breaker. And then, if he is still champion, you'll see him on Friday night, October 18th, at the Pennsville Middle School, located at 4 William Penn Avenue in Pennsville, New Jersey. That's a lot of pen. Bring a pencil.
And you're not even in Pennsylvania.
No. And he'll be defending there against NWA wrestler Spencer Slade, who is more than spectacular and way too talented for what he's been giving in the promotion.
As our pal Jeremy would say, he ain't no dick wrestler.
So you're going to see all that great professional wrestling action. So make sure you come to all these events. You get matches with championship matches, you get great wrestlers, and you get Daredevil Dave Dahl.
And that's really the selling point right there, because, I mean, who doesn't want to boo that guy? Real quick, I do want to point out that our friends at the National Wrestling Alliance are currently running a sale to get 25% off of the merchandise through September 9th, which I guess is in about 4 days. So using the code LABORDEALS with a Z, 24, you can save 25% off your NWA shop right now. If you couldn't be there in person, NWA 76 bundles are a must-have. I'm just repeating that out because, again, Danny Deal's friend of the show. I do appreciate his kind words at the Crockett Cup, or excuse me, at the 76th anniversary show, and he's been good to me over the years. So I always want to make sure we're throwing them a bone. Jaden, I guess that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you guys for being a part of the Alliance, guys. Every Thursday night, it's one of my favorite things to do is hang out here and chit chat with you guys and hang out with my boys, Jaden, DKM. Jaden, is there anything else you want to say before we close it out?
Yeah, whatever happened to Kevin Frazier? He needs to be taken out of the chat, out of the introduction.
Yeah, I'm going to be working on a new intro video that they'll hopefully debut before the end of the new year. But
after he's taken out, he'll come back.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as it's done, he'll be like, "Hey guys, you got anything else you want to talk about?" But until then, guys, we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog.